Starting with a gentleman that many of you are familiar with. He's known to Canadians across the country for his daily talk show, before that on Much Music, and he started his career at The Fan 590, which is now Sportsnet 590, the host of Hockey Night in Canada, George Stroumboulopoulos.
Thank you, thank you.
Georgie.
Nice to see you, bud.
Good to see you. I'm not really a hugger.
Hello, everybody. Hi. Hi.
The biggest question everybody wants to know, what will you be wearing?
What will I be wearing? Black. I don't know. You got to dress for the set. That's the thing, you dress for the set. I haven't figured that out yet. This has all happened so quickly. I don't know yet. Gordon and I have been talking about it. There'll be very few bathing suits. That's what we can agree on. Everything else we don't know. Yeah.
There's a great quote in our press release from your friend Jeff Merrick. It said that when you guys started together at The Fan, you used to sit in the producer's room and talk about one day working together on hockey. So what does this day feel like?
That's exactly true. It feels very strange. And the fact that he's about to come out, it makes it even better. And we had that conversation. We agreed with each other that we needed to go away with Jeff and Bob, our friend Bob, that we had to go away in 20 years. We could be ready to do something like this. And you and I are having this conversation 19 and a half years later. So it took 20 years to get to this place. But I mean, to join a team with Ron and Don, I grew up watching Ron and Don. These guys are icons. And a guy who's a host, Ron's the greatest host I've ever seen. So to be in the same team as him's amazing. Millard's great. Of course, Cherry's the greatest of what he does.
Just ask him.
Yeah, well, that you said that, not me. I love it. And that it's with Merrick. I mean, what a dream, right? This is hockey. I get to see you again. And I've known Keith since I was 26 years old when I had super long hair, when I first started working with him on Off the Record. So I'm excited to be a part of the family again.
When did the passion for hockey start for you?
I was probably 5 years old. It was right in that key age. The Habs were good. And then that quickly went away, but they were good at that time. And I remember watching, you know what it was, being an immigrant son, Eastern Europeans, there was this wave of players from Eastern Europe that were playing in the National Hockey League. And I remember even guys, not even just Eastern Europe, but Swedish players were coming, Mats Naslund, Finns were coming, and I remember thinking, oh yeah, okay, I get this. I recognized my family's names on the back of these jerseys. So that was like 5 years old, and I've been sort of out of my mind about it since.
Well, we're looking forward to having George's passion on Saturday nights. George, welcome to the team.
Thank you, man. Good to see you, Scott. Thank you. Thank you.
Next, a gentleman that I was fortunate enough to hire when I was here at the CBC to come join us at Hockey Night in Canada Radio. He came over to join us at Sportsnet, has been a host of Hockey Central, a good friend of George Stroumboulopoulos. He will be hosting Friday Night Hockey, our junior hockey coverage. He'll be hosting Thursday Night Hockey on Sportsnet 360, as well as 2 hours of pregame coverage every Saturday and every Sunday. Please welcome Jeff Merrick.
On after George?
Yes. And in
after the Who at Woodstock, why don't you?
And in the hair theme, you had spiky
the
hair
new
when I
feathers?
first met you.
No, I know. This is my young Republican look. It's been mandated by Sportsnet.
When you and George were talking in the producer's room 20 years ago, did you imagine that you'd be standing on a stage here at the CBC?
My heart always said yes, and my head said not a chance. We were two little chimps. George, we started in 94 or 95 at The Fan, and we started like the lowest man on the totem pole in promotions, right? So we're handing out tickets on the street, get people to listen to the radio station. George was an overnight board op. I was a call screener for the Spider Jones show. We have like every other kid who's in broadcast college right now, the wild fantasy. What are we going to do 10 years from now, 5 years, 20 years from now? And that was, I guess that was always the dream, and we wanted it, but I don't think we ever really believed it.
People don't know about Jeff is that when I first met him, I was also working as an usher at a movie theater, but Jeff was a gravedigger, and the first person he ever buried was Harold Ballard, which is exactly true, former Leaf owner. So
April 20th,
we bonded over some stuff in hockey back in those really early days.
There are a number of fans who wanted to bury him with you.
Well, everyone complained about it, but only one person did something about it, Scott. That's kind of the way I like to position it.
Well, welcome to the team, Jeff.
Thanks, boss.
Okay.
And I'll wear whatever you want, George.
Okay, great. Next, I'd like to introduce a day oneer at Sportsnet. He is a recent inductee into the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame. He's been hosting hockey coverage on Sportsnet since 1998. He will be the host of Wednesday Night Hockey on Sportsnet, as well as his radio show, Hockey Central at noon. Please welcome Darren Millard.
We get the hug?
We are not hugging.
Oh.
I only hug George. It's just like a show business thing. Darren, congratulations. Thrilled to have you on the team. You've been at Sportsnet since day one. What changes have you seen?
15 years, I get a promotion. So once every 15 years.
Once
I'm
every
looking forward
15
to
years,
it.
yep, absolutely.
Yeah, well, trade deadline day is the biggest one that you see from back when we just basically went on during our newscast and announced all the trades to this year with 5 different sets and reporters everywhere and probably 40 commentators. It's a full-fledged event and 2 days of massive media coverage. So that would probably be the biggest difference that I can go back to day one to now.
What ignited your first hockey passion? You're a goalie.
I'm a goalie.
So it means you're a little crazy.
Yeah.
What ignited your first hockey passion?
My grandma gave me some Bobby Clark pajamas. My brother got Guy Lafleur. I'm a twin. Guy Lafleur pajamas. So that was the rivalry, Montreal and Philadelphia. And then we played hockey at the East End Community Center when I was 7 years old. And they said, "Who wants to play goal next?" And I put up my hand, and my dad put it down, and my other one went up, and that was it. Sold on it. Still play today. As I say, the kids that get all this pressure to succeed in hockey, and 95% of them all end up in the same rinks that we all play in at 10 o'clock at night, and that's the most important message that I like to tell kids, because it's not about making it to the National Hockey League, it's about your passion for it, and I like to play, I like to watch it, it's all part of the same package.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Great. A few years ago, when I first joined the CBC, I was told if you wanted to make an event look big, put Ron MacLean on it. I've had the distinct pleasure of doing 4 hockey days in Canada with Ron MacLean. Nobody connects with communities across this country. Nobody is seen to be hockey in this country like Ron MacLean. We're thrilled to have him as our host of Hometown Hockey on Sunday nights, launching a whole new night for us. Please welcome Ron MacLean.
Right. Thank you, Scott. Boys. George, you're looking good. Now, don't screw this up. It's a big show.
So when we first talked about Sundays, you said that you were looking at, you've got a new book that you're working on. It's called...
Kirsty McClellan Day, it's called, I think, along the lines of Ron's Canada. It's about stories, people of influence that we've met in our travels in small towns across the country. So, you know, Scott, I will say one thing. We're all figuring this out a little bit on the fly, as you can well imagine. And I have to admit, when Scott said we're creating a national game, it's a great new concept. It's on Pun Day, I thought he said. And so I agreed to do it. It's Sunday. I find out it's Sunday. No, I'm kidding, of course. And that, I think, is going to be... It's just going to be a wonderful show. It's a wonderful night. Battle of the Blades was a show where we made it kind of a family viewing. It combined the men and the women. I think, you know, we've seen what girls hockey is doing right now. I just think it's going to be a tremendous idea to go out into the communities and bring the show to the Rink Rat, the biggest show on earth. So it's going to be great.
Now, I was hoping that your wife, Carrie, would be here because I was going to apologize to her for ruining your entire weekend,
Right.
Because we've got you working Saturday and Sunday. You'll continue with Coach's Corner with Don Cherry. What's the craziest thing Don ever made you do on a Saturday night?
You know, we have to have about 22 coffees. Ironically, now I'm making a living with it. Probably the biggest challenge for me over 28 years has been, and I was kidding, you know, he's wired, always wired, and now we're wireless, haha. But he loves coffee before we go on, as you all know, and it's got to be black, and we got about 200 coffees before we do the Coach's Corner. So that's the craziest thing in a way, because you're so jittery by the time you do it. It's like you're over the top on Red Bull, but it's been a good ride, and I'm glad it's continuing. I'm looking forward to that too. 29th year coming up.
Well, thank you very much. We're looking forward to Sunday. All these folks are going to be available for questions. So there you have it. Our team, I think a hockey team other than goalie should have 5. Yeah. So there's supposed to be a music cue.
There we go. That feels better.
Ladies and gentlemen, Don Cherry.
Music. Hooray.
You don't have a seat for me, that's right.
It's right behind you. Right behind you. It's a throne.
You got to be interviewed
Let
first.
me tell you about first time. Usually you're back again, second time. Usually I get rid of the bosses, they're gone forever. And you come back. Very first time I met him, I was doing makeup. There's no kidding, I'm looking straight ahead. And he comes in, he thought he was funny, and I'm looking straight ahead. He says, "Hi, I'm Scott Moore, I'm your boss. You want your pig slip now or later?" I looked at it, as a lot of guys have tried. A week later, he says, "This Don Cherry's a thoroughbred. We're going to run him till he dies, and then we're going to shoot him." So I knew I was off on the wrong foot, right off the bat. But I'm still here. glad to have you back in the big time.
Right. I did say to Don when I came to CBC, I was living in a condo about 2 blocks away. So the famous 7-second delay would be changed to a 7-minute delay because that's how long it would take me to run from my condo to the studio to take him off the air. But that's never been necessary.
Well, I wouldn't have paid attention to you anyhow, so it doesn't make any difference. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah. I don't know how long I'm going to last this year either. But, can't touch me this time.
Well, we are thrilled to have you
Thank
back and continuing a 30-year tradition. Ladies and gentlemen, the faces of hockey on Rogers.
Okay.